Okay, hi guys, and welcome to today's show. Today we are going to be dueling my little Citizen ProMaster. This is the NY0040. So no wristwatch check necessary because I am indeed wearing it, and we're going to be pitting it against the reigning champion of entry-level divers, the legendary SKX. So is the Citizen going to take the crown from the SKX? That is the question. So let's change perspectives now and find out. Today we are finally going to be dueling these two incredible entry-level automatic divers, both around about the same price, but each with their own kind of legacy, and in my opinion I think two of the best, well, definitely two of the best entry-level automatic divers you can possibly get that are out there right now. So on the right we have, of course, the legendary SKX. This is my own SKX 009. This is the J version. The 09 has the red that has the Pepsi setup, and then on the left we have quite an equally prestigious watch. This is the Citizen ProMaster, the NY0040. This of course is the black dial and bezel version, and I recently reviewed this, so check it out. Very interesting watch. And let me just explain the setup of the jewel. So we have 10 categories. As I go through them, I'll explain a little bit about what they mean. They're pretty much self-explanatory, you know, value, design, movement, all the rest of it. And I will move this card down. This is just a postcard, actually. This is a postcard from the Royal Armouries in the Tower of London. These beautiful postcards of some of their collection. It's just the right size to cover the scores, so I'll move this down and reveal the scores at the end. We'll total it up. So the 10 categories, and then there's a score out of 100. Now I must point out something very important for you guys to understand. This is not these particular two models going head to head. They are representing their respective range. So without further ado, let's move on to the first category, and it is, of course, I'll slide this down, value. Now they both get a really solid 9 out of 10. There's no doubt that these two watches are probably, well, two of the best value divers out there. They punch way above their weight. What you get for the money is, well, pretty incredible. Kind of puts a lot of the higher end divers to shame. They would get 10 out of 10. The only reason I wouldn't give them, 10 out of 10 is because obviously they're not going to have the same kind of resale value as some more iconic pieces. But having said that, you're not going to lose that much money because you're not spending that much money. So I think solid 9s all around. There's no doubt that they are some of the best value watches out there. Okay, moving on to design. Now, design is a little bit different from style. Design is basically what they are designed to do. We'll start with the SKX. The SKX gets a solid 8. There's no doubt that the design of the SKX is built for task. We've got this lovely big loom, very comfortable, easy to operate crown there, the 120 click bezel. This particular one I like because it's got the Pepsi actually works with the average dive time, so we've got 20 minutes there. It's very useful. It's case, it's comfortable, it's just built for task. There's no overly gratuitous, ostentatious design. It's just form and function, definitely. In terms of the Citizen, I think it gets a little bit less in design because without the crown being, instead of being at 4 o'clock or typically at 3, it's moved round to the 8 o'clock position. Which means everything is upside down, so when you wind it, it's the opposite way around that you're used to. It is a bit finicky. Having said that, I do love the bezel grip. It definitely does what it's supposed to do, only what lets it down is, I think, the crown. The SKX obviously came out first. The Citizen came out in the 90s. I think the Citizen, to be honest, this particular one is a bit of an attempt at Citizen to catch up and take some ground in the entry-level diver market, which Seiko obviously dominate, especially with the SKX and actually with many divers of Seiko. So in a way, it's a kind of copy, not a direct copy, but they're almost kind of like flipping the bird to Seiko by reversing, we'll put the crown there, that kind of thing. So I think the design is not as original. At the same time, it's got its charm of its own, but that crown being there, you know, it can be a bone of contention for some people. I've got to give it to the Seiko there. Okay, moving on. Movement. So the Seiko has the 7S26 automatic movement. Unfortunately, there's no hand wind and there's no hacking either, which is a bit of a letdown. However, still gets a solid 8 simply because it's been proven. For decades, they've been known to go without service. Quite reliable, not the most accurate thing. Also, it's as you see, the second hand is a little bit stuttery. Operates at 21,600 beats per hour. Actually, the same as the Citizen. Again, this is entry level. You can't expect heaven and earth. So I would say it's a really solid movement and one that will last you a lifetime. Certainly robust and reliable, but not exactly the most accurate. A respectable 8, mainly because it's been tried and tested. The Citizen, however, in here we find the Miyota 8200 movement. They actually were developed in the 70s by Citizen, and then kind of the upgraded version, which you see in this particular one, because this watch came out in the 90s. It has been used for quite a long time. It is known for its reliability, its robustness, much like the Seiko counterpart here, but we have got hand winding, which I must say is a definite bonus. Yeah, a solid 8. I would give it a 10 out of 10 had it been hackable. It's a shame, but again, we can't expect everything at this entry-level price range. I think they're both in-house. Definitely the movement, I think, is superior in the Citizen. Okay, moving on. Brand, prestige, and heritage. Well, there's no doubt that Seiko wins here. Seiko are a brand that have done many world firsts. They have an incredible history that, not just in watchmaking, I'm talking about in terms of horology, in terms of the history of timekeeping in general. I could do a whole entire video about what Seiko have done and what they have contributed to the history of horology. Also, the Seiko SKX here, its lineage can be traced all the way back to the mid-60s. Got an incredible heritage to it. Something that is very rare at this entry-level price range. Decades longer than the Citizen, so definitely a 9 there. Citizen falls a little bit behind here with a solid 8. They've also been around for a long time. They haven't got the technical achievements and legacy in horology that Seiko have. However, what gives this particular watch a solid 8 is obviously its Marina Militare history. It's been used for a decade by the Italian Navy. It's rare that you see a watch of this low value with such a prestigious achievement behind it. So definitely worthy of respect. However, we've got to give it to the Seiko just because of its the company's incredible legacy. Okay, moving on. Quality. I've got to give it to the Citizen here with a strong 9. There's just something about its build quality. It feels better made. Everything from the bezel action to the applied marker, there's more trouble has been taken, and I think the quality is superior. Having said that, the Seiko comes in a very close second, especially this Japanese edition with the beautiful polishing is a little bit better. But you know, sometimes with the Seiko you hear of misaligned chapter rings or the bezel not lining up correctly, this kind of thing. Whereas the Citizen, I feel, is just impeccable quality, especially at this price range. I haven't heard any negatives about this particular watch, to be honest. So I definitely give the quality to the Citizen. Its finishing, its construction, I feel is superior. Okay, moving on. Style. Now this, of course, is probably the most subjective category here. I've got to give it to the Seiko. On the back, of course, we have that famous Konogawa Tsunami wave. It's completely unnecessary, but it adds to the charm. Also aesthetically, I feel that it's a more timeless design. It's aged very, very well. I think the Citizen is a little bit stuck in the 90s. The beautiful curves, the kind of slightly cushiony case, the matted dial of the SKX definitely makes it more tooly, whereas the Citizen has this beautiful glossy dial that is kind of dressy. It's peculiar that and such a functional tool-like aesthetic for the rest of the watch, it's suddenly got this very smart, deep, glossy dial. It's really a matter of preference. At the end of the day, I think the Seiko is more of a true tool watch. When something is more classic, it ages well. You know, you look at a Submariner, you look at a Speedmaster, you look at a Navitimer, those are classic designs, and I think this is a classic design in its own right, and I think it gets a solid 8. There are kind of shortcuts. I think the chapter ring is a little bit too big. I think, you know, it would have been nice to have a engraved crown, this kind of thing, but, you know, a respectable 8. The Citizen, however, I think kind of lags behind here. It's got this weird hour marker. Somebody pointed out it looks a bit like Y fronts at the 12 o'clock position. The bezel grip, the strange positioning of the crown. It's stylistically also the case is a little bit bland, hasn't got the curves. It's very militaristic. Some people might actually consider this quite ugly. Definitely a more acquired taste aesthetically. Okay, moving on. Versatility. Well, there's no doubt that the Seiko wins here. It's infinitely moddable. There are tons of mods you can do to this and really change up the look. Also, the entire range, you've got a really nice choice of colors there. Also the SKX013 if you want to go a little bit smaller. I feel with the modding capabilities and the variation in size, you have a much more versatile watch that you can really customize and change the look dramatically. You can make it more dressy, you can make it crazy colors, you can do whatever you want really to it. You can even get mods to mimic the look of a 50 Fathoms, this kind of thing. So versatility, no doubt about it, goes to the Seiko. The Citizen, I would say, is not as versatile. I think it's a solid 8. Of course, you can dress it up in different things, just like a Seiko SKX. It still gets a solid 8, the Citizen. I think mainly because the different versions of this particular watch, the blue one, the one with the completely luminous dial, can get some really cool looks. And I wouldn't say this is as moddable as the SKX. Guys, if you've seen any modded versions, please share them in the comments. I'd love to see that. So definitely not as versatile, but you know, you could put this on rubber, you can put this on a leather strap, you can put this on the various NATOs. It still does look good. So it is versatile to a degree, but not as much as the Seiko SKX. Okay, moving on. Performance. Well, the Seiko SKX here gets the 7. Now, why such a low score? Well, it's not the best timekeeper. Some people have complained about the bezel, this kind of thing. However, it does have the best lume out of the two. In fact, let's quickly change to a lume shot. The Seiko is just a tiny little bit brighter, but as you can see, it's both very easy to distinguish which is hours, which is minutes, all the rest of it. I do like the counterbalance on the Seiko more, it's closer to the markers. But pretty much both exceedingly good, especially at this range. Let's take it back to the studio. But what keeps the Citizen ahead here is the fact that the Italian Navy actually tested this down to 500 meters and it still worked. Even though these are both 200 meter divers, I think the Citizen definitely has the edge. It's been proven to go even deeper than what's actually stated on the dial. Also, I'm finding this is a better timekeeping device as the SKX. I mean, there's really not that much difference between them, but I have found that the performance of the Citizen here a little bit better. Okay, moving on. Durability. The Seiko definitely wins in this category. It's been proven to go with decades without servicing. These are extremely robust. They can take a beating. The Citizen, the same can be said about the Citizen. However, it hasn't got the same amount of time proven track record. Even though it has served obviously with the Marina Militare for 10 years, that's still, you know, probably half the time that the Seiko SKX has been in action. They both are extremely well regarded by divers, so we get both high marks here. The SKX has a 120 click bezel and the Citizen has a 60 click bezel, but despite having more clicks, at the end of the day I think the bezel is better on the Citizen. It performs more solidly, it has less wiggle. To be honest, I'd take the 60 click over the Seiko bezel any day of the week. They both have mineral crystal, which is a bit of a disappointment, but again, you know, these are entry-level divers, you can't expect sapphire. But having said that, both extremely durable, can take a massive beating, and you just don't have to worry about it. I mean, you can't really say that with many automatic timepieces out there. moving on, the last category, and that is the X Factor. There's no doubt, in my opinion, the SKX has it a little bit more. It's got mainstream appeal. It's appeared in movies, on Robert Redford's wrist in All Is Lost. I was just watching House of Cards the other day, and it was on a SWAT team member's wrist, very end of the last season. You see these pop up everywhere, you know, even in collectors that have high-end collections. In the corner, you'll see a little SKX. There with the big boys. It's respected by divers, the watch connoisseurs. It's got that magic thing. It's got that inexplicable special quality that is the X Factor in bucket loads. I've had a connection with this watch since my childhood. It's got a coolness about it. The Citizen, however, also has a kind of charm to it. Its military connection definitely makes it more appealing and more desirable. Its strange kind of 90s look, its military look, adds to its X Factor. Also, the crown being at that odd position, which is not your typical position for a crown, also kind of makes it a little bit more unique. It's definitely a unique piece, but it just doesn't have that mainstream appeal. And it actually, to be honest, it's not as well known as the SKX. But again, a solid, respectable 8. I gotta say, it's grown on me quite a lot since I got it. Okay, so let's reveal the scores. And we have, well, yeah, it's no surprise, the SKX wins. Not by a huge amount. To be honest, guys, these watches are both really great. Obviously, the SKX is the winner here. Not by a huge margin, but just more established. It's just more respected. The Citizen comes in very, very close. Could take the SKX out, but I don't think anyone will ever produce a watch that with the same legacy, with the same history, with the same proven track record as the Seiko SKX. It's just a classic, and there's no doubt about it. At the end of the day, it is the icon. It is the winner. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let's take it back to the studio. Now, thoughts, queries, questions, opinions, all the rest of it, please down below in the comments. I always love hearing what you guys have to say. And I've got to say this, if you are deliberating between the two, honestly, you can't go wrong with either. Just go with your heart. They are both fantastic watches. I cannot recommend them enough. You can't lose. Whichever way you go, you cannot lose. They're both icons in their own way. Yeah, the SKX is the reigning champion. Somebody's got to be king, right? There's only ever one crown, so somebody's got to be the king, right? Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Please add your thoughts, queries, questions, opinions, all the rest of it down in the comments below. I always love hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to give this a like if you enjoyed it and found it useful. It really does help me, so please don't forget to do that. As always, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.